Good morning. I have to start off by giving you an apology for the way I looked this morning. I probably look like, what do they call my grandmother used to say, the wreck of the Hespers. I don't even know what that means, but it always meant that you looked horrible. Why is that? Because last night there were these storms that blew up, and I'm out there watching the storms in the distance, and I'm checking radar, and I do this is like way past midnight, as if I've never seen a storm before, right? But that's just the way that it is. When I hear thunder in the distance that nobody else hears, it's the craziest thing. I'll talk to people and I go, "Did you hear that?" And they go, "No, what?" "It's thunder." I know inside they're rolling their eyes, but they're being nice about it. But it was true. We had some thunderstorms and a big stretch of them too, all the way from I'd say from the Piedmont all the way through the Midlands last night into the CSRA into parts of Georgia, down near the Savannah River, Bamberg, Aiken, Barnwell, McCormick, Edgefield counties. You all saw some storms. They finally fizzled out, but I can watch that all day long. So good morning. Hi, everybody. Chief Meteorologist Tim Miller. Let's get your Thursday forecast here. Thursday is going to be no different than yesterday. Showers and storms starting to develop. I will say this, that I think that these will be later in the day. And again, the same old situation. Not everyone's going to get a storm, right? Just like last night, I saw those storms in the distance, right? But not a whole lot going on where I was at that point until later on. So here's the forecast for the upstate. This is where we're going to start. Temperatures today hanging in the upper 80s. That sounds nice, and from a temperature standpoint, it is. But you throw that humidity in there, and it's oppressive and rather sticky here today. Look at Waynesville, up in North Carolina mountains at 82 degrees. Rain chances, generally speaking, anywhere from 50 to 70% in the upstate. Again, these will be these typical summertime storms. It'll rain like crazy. Could have some flash flooding in the midst of that. Reminds me about 13 years ago. I think we're celebrating the anniversary of a major group of thunderstorms that formed and caused some big time flooding in parts of the upstate. Y'all remember that about 13 years ago or so. And again, those storms can do that too. Just ask our friends down in Charleston. They've been dealing with that for quite some time. Let's do our forecast for the Midlands. Generally speaking, low 90s today. The heat index feeling like upper 90s to 100. So we're really going to start to feel that heat. The heat's coming back, folks. My feeling is once we get into certainly the weekend, but Sunday, really through much of next week, we're going to see these highs mid, maybe upper 90s again. The ridge that gave us all that heat about almost a week and a half ago that moved out west, well, it's sort of retrograding back towards the east. And we'll have high pressure out over the Atlantic called the Bermuda High. That's going to feed the moisture in. So between the heat and the moisture, it's going to be hot. But what it will do is sort of dry out the atmosphere a little bit. So I don't think we're going to have as many thunderstorms around next week as we've seen this week. So certainly we'll have some, but just not nearly as the coverage that we've seen. So, and that heat, by the way, is going to be all from the upstate all the way through the Midlands towards the low country as we get into the next week, which we'll talk about more. We'll talk about that more tomorrow, what we can expect. So what these models to sort of flesh out a little bit. But generally speaking, anywhere through the Midlands, anywhere from about a 50 to 60% chance of showers and thunderstorms, pretty much like yesterday. By afternoon time, all bets are off. If you have anything going on outside, try to do it early before these storms start to come on in. All right, so I want to show you this picture. This is a pretty cool picture here. This is from the National Weather Service office in Charleston this morning. This is the National Weather Service office. That's not the office. That's a garage at the office. They actually have a legitimate garage, a legitimate office, not a garage. But they go up there and they're like me. They can see all that. This is a thunderstorm happening this morning, well off the coast. This thing probably from where the National Weather Service is, 80, 90, maybe 100 miles away, and you're seeing that. That's why a lot of people asked me that. I got a lot of questions last night. Tim, boy, a lot of heat lightning out this morning. Nope, or last night. Nope, that's not heat lightning. Remember, there's no such thing as heat lightning. What you're seeing is a distant thunderstorm, and it's so far away, you just can't hear the thunder. All right, you can see the lightning, but you can't hear the thunder. And out in the plain states, you get these summer storms, You can see a storm in the distance and lightning from a storm that's 200, 250 miles away. I kid you not. I saw a storm a few years ago in Aiken County, and I went on the radar. I saw the lightning, and that thing was up near Greenville. So, I mean, so case in point there with that. So I had to show you that. That's just a cool picture. And you know me, I'm going to geek out over any type of weather picture that I can show you. Let's get to this. We're going to start right here. Let's go. Let's look. So that storm is currently out over the ocean here. This is a satellite view. So here's Charleston. National Weather Service right in here. It's viewing this storm here. It's either this storm or this storm. I don't know exactly where it was. It may be this storm. Nonetheless, right? So look how far that is from the National Weather Service office, and yet we're able to get that. So Charleston, North, Georgetown, Myrtle Beach, dealing with showers and storms today. It's this fetch of moisture here that's coming on shore that we're going to be dealing with. And I think eventually this will head on shore with the sea breeze, and then we'll start to get more moisture in from the south and pick that up. All right, let's get to our forecast. So notice here's radar, right? And then here's the model at 10 o'clock. So this is now. Here's the model. Boom. That's what I love to see, consistency with these weather models. If I don't see consistency, they're out. So this is one model that I really like. This is called the HRRR. You often hear me talk about it. It's what we call a mesoscale model, which means it's not synoptic, which means over a long period of time, such as your GFS and your Euro. This sort of laser focuses on at max 48 hours. And that's what this one does. So let's go through the day here, and then we'll do hour by hour. Here's 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1, 2, 3. So by the time we get to 3, we're starting to see these showers and storms start to pop. Now, this doesn't mean everyone's going to be dry. This is just sort of an idea here of what it's thinking. And I think generally speaking, any one of these storms could certainly pop up. Here's 4 o'clock. Notice by 5 o'clock, the true heating of the day, that's when we'll start to get storms from the PD towards the upstate through the Midlands, down towards the Savannah River. Here is 6 o'clock, 7, 8, 9. Notice time we get to the evening, there's 10 o'clock. These storms pretty much wind up near the upstate and then rain themselves out. So there's 2 o'clock in the morning. Relatively quiet. There's 7 o'clock Friday morning. Friday doesn't look to have as many storms. At least this particular model's taking that away. It's that little drier air that's moving on here. Here's 11 o'clock. Here is 3 o'clock Friday afternoon. I think this is a little underdone. So I think tomorrow we'll have a little bit more storms around than this is actually showing, but I think it perfectly mirrors today. So the takeaway today with our forecast all across the state, hot, humid, not as hot as it's going to be next week, but still nonetheless a little bit oppressive here this morning throughout the midday, and then our afternoon showers and storms pop up. Anytime we get some severe weather, I'll come on here and let you know exactly where these storms are going and what to expect for the rest of the day. So just keep that umbrella handy and try to take it easy if you're outside here, especially late in the afternoon with some of these storms that will produce some pretty heavy rain and some gusty winds as you're headed home from work and school today. Have yourself a great Thursday, and later on this afternoon, won't be live this afternoon. We're going to post some weather updates, and I'll give you some insight of what we can expect maybe towards the weekend. I know a lot of people are talking about some weekend plans, so we'll dive into that coming up this afternoon. We'll see you then.